All right, so this is a video documenting my trauma. Basically, the per.6 fetal cell line. All right, so if you kind of know about this, which I did, I did know a little bit about it, and I was like, wow, how is that ethical, right? How's this ethical, right? How is this not unethical? That's probably the best question here. How is this not ethical? Unethical. How is this not unethical? It is. It's completely unethical. Smashing, injecting that kind of fetal cell line. All right. So, and I was like, okay, well, and then I moved on to other matters. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, okay, this is clearly wrong, right? We're not gonna do this kind of thing, especially not for my kids. I had a new baby recently. She's a very, very beautiful baby, Bianca. She's like a star princess, it's really great, a very, very nice gift from our Heavenly Father. A super, super great baby. She's perfect baby. There's nothing, imagine, injecting this baby with the injections and, immunizations and inoculations and whatever you want to call them. It's complete madness, right? It's complete absurdity, right? They've stained and tarnished the name of medicine, of medical science, right? But you can never actually the true. I was teaching yesterday brain surgery. I was teaching this very smart boy. He's one of my best students, right? He's about 12 years old, and he wants to become a doctor. And we were watching the knee surgeries and the heart surgeries and everything. But yesterday was the brain surgery, right? So this guy actually takes a piece of the skull off. She makes an incision here, and then he actually takes a piece of the skull to repair an aneurysm in the brain, right? That's a real doctor, right? So, we have to separate the real doctors from these, abortionists and vacuum cleaner, salesmen. Right? I don't want to say the word because vacuum. I'll just say vacuum. Right? Vacuum scene. Right? The vacuum scene. Or the vacuum cleaner repair business scene. I can't say it because it's censored, but yeah. All right, so these aborted fetal cell lines, all right? Just follow me for a minute, okay? The aborted fetal cell lines. So the whole video, the point of this video is to document my trauma. You can research that per.6 fetal cell line. Just Google that, per, right? Per, like per, right? .6. And then, you can check that monstrosity out for yourself. I'm not going to start educating you about that. You can educate yourself about that, but just my trauma, my absolute mind blowing. Because I already knew about it, and I was like, yeah, okay, how's this not unethical, right? And it's certainly wrong. Right? Certainly wrong. So anyway, what's the point here? Well, the point is I'm traumatized. Like, I'm literally traumatized. Like, from this thing. This added an additional layer to my trauma, right? So I'm traumatized because of all this stuff. I'm traumatized because the birth control pills don't actually prevent pregnancy. They just actually cause an early abortion at 8 days, right? Which is traumatizing. My own family is part of this, complicit. And the one member of my family is actually an abortionist. And the other members of my family are just, against me because I'm speaking out against this monstrosity. It's absolute lunacy. It's madness. It's perverse. It's a culture of death, right? Absolutely culture of death. So in the country that I am now, the children are constitutionally protected from the moment of conception, right? The people are constitutionally protected. There's no other way. There's literally no other way that it could be. So anyway, my trauma, right? So I am literally traumatized. I get recurring nightmares and things like that, right? But so if you look into this per.6 thing, right? Just Google it and just say ChatGPT or DeepSeek or Claude or whatever. How's this not unethical, right? And you're like, well, certainly questionable and all this stuff, morally questionable. To do what, right? To get this baby, right? This is a baby. This is a developing human. This is a baby, right? This is a baby. And they took the eyes. Oh, man. It just makes my spine cringe. It's just the eyes. The thing about the eyes, I don't know. For some reason, if they would have took the brain tissue or they would have took, the lung tissue or the heart tissue, any kind of thing, but the eyes, it's so horrible. It's just stuff of 1,000 nightmares, man. It really, really is. The eyes. They take the baby's eyes and they... Yeah. It's traumatizing me, man. It really, really is. I'm not even joking. Like, it's traumatizing me. Like, the eyes. Why did they do that? And then they got these fetal cell lines coming out of that, and they're injecting. That's not even the worst part. That's not even the worst part. The worst part is all these, these wonderful children. Like, for example, my baby's perfectly fine, and I think these guys are starting to get the picture that we're, anti-vacuum cleaner scene people, right? Anti vacuums. I hate vacuums scenes. I hate the scene of the vacuum cleaner repair business. It's a scene where all the vacuum cleaner repair guys are together, and it's a scene. Right? The vacuum cleaner repair business scene. Vacuum cleaner repair scene. The thing. It doesn't make sense. This word doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, you're gonna that whole thing, right? That whole thing. So my son got sick from that. My son got sick from that. He's doing very, very well. No thanks to the government medical establishment, right? So what I was saying about my student. Great guy, he's 12 years old, and he's studying to become a doctor, where they're doing these informal pre-med school learning things, right? So, these real doctors, right? And I will always advocate for medical science, every time. I would always advocate for medical science. You got this guy, yesterday I was looking at this guy, he made an incision right here in the head of this lady, right? He cut out a triangle from the skull, right? And then he went down, right, past because the brain has many, many layers protecting the brain, and then he repaired an aneurysm in the brain, right? A brain surgery. You can actually see that. Now that's a doctor. But these doctors, they like to call themselves doctors. Just because you have a PhD does not make you a doctor, right? Any Joe can get I could get a PhD if it's a joke. When I went to university, it's an absolute joke. You just have to basically show up there and you get your degree, right? That's basically, there's no challenge anymore. Basically, I remember taking a few classes. There's no effort, right? There's no effort that you have to actually, do. And I get passing grades for basically doing absolutely nothing. But the money is there, so anyway, I went to business university, I should have went to medical science university, but whatever. I studied medical science on my own, right? So the point is that this whole video is about the trauma that I experienced, right? You shouldn't be traumatized for studying medical science. Now, this isn't medical science. This is witchcraft, hocus pocus kind of stuff, right? You're not gonna take a baby, a perfectly healthy baby, and kill this baby, right? And take the eyes and do your aborted fetal cell line, per.6, if you want to research about that. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. What are they doing? The most horrible thing is not the eyes. Well, I think it's the eyes. The eyes thing is the most horrible thing. But the second most horrible thing is that they're injecting it on all these babies, these perfectly healthy babies, with little to no justification except for, it's scary, we must manufacture your consent. And that's what they're doing. Manufacturing consent. Manufacturing consent is exactly what's going on. It's manufacturing consent of... Look at my niece. My niece, 19 years old. She's going to get these vacuum cleaner scenes. Vacuum cleaner scenes are so very, very important because I'm scared. That's the only reason that they will get it. Because they're scared because, in the future they might get some sort of thing. Right? It doesn't make any kind of sense. And I've researched this. I'm a fairly knowledgeable guy, right? I'm not a PhD or whatever. If I wanted to continue on, get a PhD, it wouldn't make me any lesser or more smart, than I am right now. I would just basically say that I have a piece of paper, right? The reason that I'm fairly knowledgeable is because I research all this stuff myself, right? So just Google it yourself. per.6. Just research that and tell me if you think that's not unethical, right? To actually continue on with this fetal cell line, right? Given the origin of where it actually comes from and how it was obtained, right? How is that not unethical, right? And in some countries like France, for example, I'd like to go to France. I would like to become a French citizen, like my bloodline actually was. My blood comes from France, but I can't go there because the country is getting taken over by these invaders, right? You can't go there because the vacuum cleaner scenes are mandated by law. Yeah, you have to go if you want to go to public school. Which my kids are missing out on learning French because of this thing. We're missing out on their culture, right? It's quite horrible. But I do appreciate your viewership. Some pizza here. So, I guess I'm going to feed my family. Get some pizza, feed my family that I love. Yeah, to protect. Right, it's a job of a man to protect the family. Right, if you're gonna be a man, right, you have to get a little bit traumatized. Right? Okay, so the point is that people don't actually believe this evil could actually exist. Right, they don't actually believe this evil could possibly, and it's noteworthy to mention the fact that when I'm recording this video at the same time as the Mr. or Mrs. I don't know if it's a man or a woman, Fauci, invoking their right to a Fifth Amendment, and then it's like, well, you got pardoned, you don't have the right to a Fifth Amendment, and he's like, no, I'm pleading the Fifth. I don't care if I have to go to jail for, I don't know, 2 years or what. She'd rather, I think it's a woman, she'd rather go to jail for 2 years, Fauci, right, than to say, I mean, I don't blame them, because, I mean, this is horrible stuff, right? If they were to actually disclose the information that they actually know, and that's what hell was created for, the devil and his angels, right? There's going to be, like, if you're foolish enough, like this guy on the abolitionist group, he's an atheist, and he wants to join the group, and I was like, how can you be an abolitionist if you're going to be a Christian? Anyway, we're going to make another video about that. I guess that's a really interesting thing. Right? You can't be an atheist when you're an abolitionist. It's impossible. But I do appreciate your viewership. So that's all for today. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'll see you. The point of this video, just to make a recap, is the traumatized mind, right? The actual trauma that's happening here. The actual traumatized mind that's actually happening. So per.6 is the absolute monstrosity of what's going on, and the second most traumatizing thing is the fact that they're injecting these vacuum cleaner scenes into all these healthy babies with this aborted fetal cell line. Sometimes it's mandated by law, right? It's mandated by the law of the country, right? But they've been misled or whatever. But no, I promise you that the medical science, like these real, for example, a neurosurgeon, right, and like a real doctor, like an anesthesiologist, for example. My uncle was an anesthesiologist. Any kind of real doctors. They still exist, and it's still honorable, and it's an honorable profession. But you do, if you are thinking about going to med school, you almost every time you have to specialize. If you take the lazy way, I mean, any kind of reasonably knowledgeable guy can get a medical school, get through medical school. But if you specialize, right? Because if you don't specialize, they're going to make you sign prescriptions for birth control pills all the time. Man, that's literally your job, is to kill children. If you don't specialize, what? The entire medical establishment, needs a complete overhaul. We need serious and immediate advancement in the field of medical science. Absolutely. Yeah. Don't get me started on psychiatry, right? It's a failed experiment, and it's a flawed medical science. But anyway, we should absolutely, without any kind of doubt at all, spend our resources to research and develop the field of medical science. All right, I'll see you next time. And don't forget to protect your family from the aborted fetal cell line, per.6. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.